Hey, fourth graders. I'm going to read you this book today. It's called The Matchbox Diary. I think in my last video I said that Mrs. Belden and Mrs. Sims would also be doing your read-alouds, but we have changed that since then. So I am doing all the reading instructions, so you will see me doing your read-aloud videos. And then Mrs. Sims is mostly handling math and Mrs. Belden is handling your writing. Okay, so this is in the same text set as our last book, and we are going to still think about what it means to be a family and how this book represents that. So I want you keeping that in mind as a theme, and also think about what is a diary. So if I had you all with me right now, I would ask you, who keeps a diary at their house? What format do we usually keep a diary in? So often, if you had a diary, you would write every day. You would write about what you did in a journal or someplace so that you could remember memories. But how do you think someone might keep a diary if they can't read or write? We're gonna get to hear that story now. The Matchbox Diary. So, in this text, we've got a great-great-grandfather and his great-great-granddaughter. And the author chose to not use dialogue tags, so you're just going to have to listen close and think about who do you think is talking, and you'll figure it out. Pick whatever you like the most, and then I'll tell you its story. But there's so many things here. You'll know when you see it, and then I'll know something about you, the great-granddaughter I've only heard about. So, you like boxes. So she picked this box for him to look at. So, you like boxes, just like me. You smoke cigars? No, me either. There's no cigars in it anyway. What's inside? Not just one story, but lots. What's in the little boxes? My diary. What's a diary? A way to remember what happens to you. Usually it's a book people write in. When I was your age, I had a lot I wanted to remember, but I couldn't read or write. So I started this. Go ahead, open the first one. So those are a bunch of tiny matchboxes, which are truly those little boxes that you can slide the inside in, and matches are inside of a cigar box. Oh, you might get to see my dog in a second. Come here, Ope. Say hi. What is it? Okay, move, Obi. What is it? An olive pit. I put it in my palm and I'm right back in Italy. That's where I grew up. Lots of olive trees there. Life was hard. The other reason I saved it. No floor in our house, just dirt. No heat in the winter except the fire under the cooking pot. And sometimes not enough food. When I'd tell my mother I was hungry, she'd give me an olive pit to suck on. It helped. So think about, what are you learning about this great-grandfather and his family when he was little? Did they have a lot of money? Did they not have a lot of money? So on each page, mostly, she's going to be opening a new box. Who's this? My father. He went to America to work. Oh, already we're learning something else. If the father went to America to work, then the family and the boy are not from America. He sent money home to us. Lots of Italian men did. Oh, they're Italian. I was a baby when he left. All I remembered about him was his mustache. Once he sent pictures so we wouldn't forget him. My father never went to school. Back then, most kids had to help their parents all day. He had to get someone to write his letters home from America. When one came, we had a problem. 4 older sisters, my mother and me, and none of us could read. We had to take it to the schoolmaster. He had a son older than me who could read and write. So there's the picture of his father, and there is the family getting the letter from their father read to them. And there's the boy. Every day, that boy wrote down what happened in a diary. Every year, he got a new one, red leather with a silk bookmark. So he's talking about the schoolmaster's son. I had no idea how to write, but I was wild to have my own diary. And he does. I want one too. That's my girl. So notice how when we're in present time, the images are in color, and even the matchboxes are in color because that's also in present time. But then when he is flashing back to a story, the images are in more of a sepia, black and white tone. There, so then she opens this next one, and it has dried macaroni and some papers in it. There was a year with no rain, no wheat, no macaroni. The schoolmaster wrote a letter to my father for us. We waited. A long time later, a letter came back with tickets to sail to America. When we left, my grandmother cried in the road. "You'll eat the food there and forget your home." She cried that over and over. So those are the tickets. We took a horse-drawn carriage to Naples. It was the first time I'd ever seen a car, and drinks in bottles, and the ocean. We slept 3 nights on the floor in the steamship station waiting for our boat. That's where I found the matchboxes. I had told my grandmother I wouldn't forget her or anything else. That's when I started the diary. So I want you to be thinking about why would it be important for him to start a diary at this point in his life? Why would that be important? Is his life staying the same, or is it really in a point of change? And if your life or his life's in a point of change, why would it be a good time to start really trying to remember things? Our ship left. We were in the bottom where the motion was the worst. People seasick, moaning. My sisters took me up on deck. "You like that hairpin?" So when she opened the next one, it's a pretty hairpin that women would wear in their hair. "You like that hairpin?" When I found it, I looked up, and high above us were rich ladies in big hats on the upper decks. People said there was gold lying on the ground in America. I thought my mother and sisters would look like those women soon. So think about, is there really, or was there ever really gold lying on the ground in the country that we live in? Sometimes people immigrate to this country for a better life, and there's lots of stories told about that country that make it seem really wonderful, but then life is harder than expected. We were headed for Ellis Island in New York. Someone told me that men would stick button hooks in our eyes there. What's a button hook? A metal tool for closing up shoes before there were laces. I had nightmares about the button hook men. Then we had bigger problems. A storm hit us, maybe a hurricane. The boat bucked like a horse. I saw a bunch of the sailors praying together. Not good. St. Christopher is supposed to protect travelers. People threw medallions of him in the ocean, begging him to spare us. After 3 days, the water calmed. So here's a St. Christopher medallion that he's kept in one of his matchboxes.